Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com. Every summer in Chicago, the sunshine spotlights the city's spectacular skyline, its luxurious lakeshore, marvelous monuments, and the over 200 neighborhoods in the city. And it also brings to light two of the greatest sports franchises in the world. On the north side, it's the Cubs. On the south side, it's the White Sox. This is CrossTown CrossTalk.
Hello, and welcome to episode number 2 of CrossTown CrossTalk. My name is Vinnie Parise.
I'm Joey Parise.
And this is where you come for your Cubs and White Sox talk. Joseph, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I almost forgot about the little intro that we do where I have to say my own name. But
yeah, normally I do all the talking for you in life and in Bar Down Blackhawk talk, but on this show, you're saying your own damn name, pal.
It ran smooth. I think it ran smooth.
It was a lot smoother than week 1, I will say that.
Yeah.
You're a little fired up today.
Of course, yeah. We had a big guest on talking baseball, pitching. This guy knows his stuff, so
yeah, now tell the people why you're actually fired up.
Are you talking like hockey related?
Oh, yeah.
Of course. I mean, I didn't know if we were going to get into that. I'm content with bottling it up and then exploding on our next episode of Bar Down Blackhawk Talk. But of course, the Bruins win a big Game 3 in Boston in overtime, double overtime. So there's no reason not to be fired up. We got Game 4 on Friday, tomorrow. So let's take deep control of the series and make it 3-1. But hey, we're talking baseball. Come on.
Hey, we talked baseball with Carmen DeFalco on Bar Down Blackhawk Talk. You could talk about the Bruins making a little bit of a nice play there last night to take advantage of a goalie falling asleep behind the net. It's okay. We're men of all sports on this show.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, you mentioned it. We have a very, very, very special guest. I have been a fan of this guy on Twitter for a couple years now, and he's one of the real pillars on baseball Twitter, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a huge Twitter guy. Like, I'm just starting to get into it recently again and trying to grow. And, I was looking at his feed, and it's honestly like, it's entertaining just to scroll down his feed. You could get lost for hours.
And of course, we're talking about Pitching Ninja, Rob Friedman. And his interview it's always naturally going to be about pitching. He does amazing overlays of, if a certain pitcher has a slider and a fastball that look the same until about 2 feet away from the plate, and then you can see the clear difference once they reach the plate, the overlay kind of like makes it shows why it's hard to hit. So for that, I think it's time we get into our interview with the Pitching Ninja. Now I'd like to welcome on MLB and ESPN contributing analyst, the Pitching Ninja. He's Rob Friedman. He's at Pitching Ninja on Twitter, and he's the pitching guru. Anything you need to know about pitching, you go to his Twitter. He shares videos. He helps young kids make it to the major leagues by putting them on a platform. Rob Friedman, how are you?
I am doing great, guys. How are you?
Very good.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Absolutely. We're an all Chicago podcast plus MLB, and we just love talking about baseball. And I'm a huge fan of pitching myself. And I've just been noticing that you've had so many Chicago White Sox pitchers on your Twitter account over the last couple weeks. Like, what's going on there?
It is so easy to do, though. Like the White Sox are filthy. Before the season, I was saying their bullpen is probably the deepest bullpen in the majors, but all around, I mean, that is a great staff. They're fun to watch. They have a ton of fun out there. And it's just hard. Like, I don't go out of my way to focus on Chicago stuff. They are going out of their way to be featured on my account. They're awesome.
I love that. It's such a good feeling as a fan of the team that was just so bad for so long. Now, one of those pitchers that's super exciting is Garrett Crochet. And I love watching this man pitch. He's got the leg kick. He throws the ball hard. He's got nasty breaking stuff. What do you think the ceiling is for a guy like that?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, every time I put him out there, people compare him to someone like Billy Wagner, which is a fair comparison arm action wise, not a fair comparison height wise or body type wise. I don't like he is top tier nasty dude. He's fun to watch. You're right. That leg kick is awesome. And he's just like he doesn't really have a ceiling that I could calculate. Like, I think he could be, I mean, he's been up to 101 and he's got a absolutely lights out breaking ball. I mean, he's really, really good. He's just fun to watch.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A player that I view somewhat similar to Crochet, and he's actually my favorite player on this team of deep pitching, is Michael Kopech. When that guy's on the mound, he's super fun to watch. Definitely my favorite player to tune into. What do you think the White Sox should do with him in 2021? How should they deal with him? Do you see him getting more starts, and what do you see from him in the future?
So to me, he carries himself like a starter. I mean, I see him as a starter. I think they're probably just getting him back to where he should be. But I mean, he looks like a potential ace starter. I mean, I've been following him for a long time. And again, another guy with just plus stuff. And you're sensing a theme here with White Sox pitching. I mean, it is so much fun.
Absolutely. Now, one of the starters that he looks up to is Lucas Giolito. He's been one of the best pitchers in the league for the last couple of years, and it's honestly amazing how far he's come from a couple of years ago. And, from going from worst to one of the best, he's got a plus changeup, a plus fastball. What do you think a pitcher that's that elite, dominating with a changeup, does for the rotation as a whole, the staff, himself?
Lucas is one of my favorite players in baseball, just players overall. I think he is number one, he's a fantastic dude who gives back to the community. There was a point preseason where I invited him to talk to the Lost Boys, which is a Chicago-based baseball organization that helps inner city kids, and both on the baseball field and off the field, teaching kind of life lessons through that. And I just texted him and say, hey, do you want to be on this? I think they'd love it. And he was like, in a second, literally responded right away and said, I am all about this. When can I be on? When can I be there? And sat there while these kids are asking him questions, and he had a blast. He is a great dude. So root for him for that alone. But on the bump, number one, he looks like he wants to tear your head off. And he's totally the opposite guy off the field. Like, he's just a really nice dude in real life. On the bump, he is a murderer. Like, he just wants to defeat you. And his changeup is fantastic. And the way he uses his changeup is, I think it changes the game.
Here we go, 3-2, bottom of the first. Got him with a changeup.
Every pitcher coming up is taught, your changeup should be low and away. This is how you do it, and you want your your fastball to play off of it. What he does is, having an elevated changeup, hitters don't see it very often, and he's relying just on his elite arm speed and grip to take the velo off, which is what everyone tells you. Like, when you're coming up, they say, let the grip do the work. It's the velo difference that's going to get hitters. You don't have to manipulate it very much. He does that. And at first, people are like, oh, yeah, it's an elevated changeup. It's going to get hammered. But then you see the swings on it. And because it comes out of the same exact arm slot, he mirrors his mechanics. And hitters aren't used to seeing it. you can see hitters swinging. They're just way out in front of the pitch. And to me, that it changes the approach. Like, I think he literally changed pitching coaches now talking about changeups. And if he didn't, they should change the way they talk about it. That there is no reason you can't throw an elevated changeup. There just isn't. If you're relying, if it's 10 miles an hour different, or 14 or 15 sometimes with him, the hitter can't adjust to that. So if the hitter sees a ball coming out of that the same slot, the same spot, they're just going to be in front of it. And I think he is a leader, just a great dude, and makes the White Sox even that much more rootable for folks. Like, it's a tremendously likable team, and he is kind of the face of that team to me.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more about Lucas Giolito. And, we could talk all day about the White Sox pitching and how fun it is right now. Flip the script a little bit. We have the Chicago Cubs, and I want to ask your opinion on Kyle Hendricks and his struggles this year. And what do you think of it, and can it get better?
I think it can definitely get better. I love watching him pitch. I mean, he's like, I just love the dude because he gets away with throwing, sub 90 stuff with no emotion, and I constantly make fun of that fact. He's fun to watch for that reason. I think he can easily turn around. Like, I think he actually did in his last start, which I think fans need to chill sometimes. Like, fans want to make snap decisions on folks right away. Like, they have a bad outing and they're like, oh, he sucks. He's a hitter who goes 0 for 4 all of a sudden. Like, oh yeah, of course you struck him out. He sucks. Like, it's a long season, and there's ebbs and flows. And if you were judged on your work day or something based on one day and you're fired, or, your boss comes in and yells at you like fans yell at players, I know it comes with the territory, but there's an awful lot of impatient fans that would make terrible managers. Could you imagine being managers that were just like, oh yeah, you blew a save, you're never coming in again. It's great. I hate you. You have Liam Hendricks. He's blowing saves. He's also a lights out closer. It's life. I mean, that happens. So I think Kyle will be fine. His approach works. It's just a matter of dialing it in. There's less room for error when you're a low velo guy. That's probably the big thing. The big takeaway is, when you can't blow hitters away, you better be on with your location or your movement, or else it's going to be a long, long outing for you.
Yeah. That makes sense. Now, he leads the rotation that has Adbert Alzolay, Zach Davies, Jake Arrieta. It's a rotation with recognizable names that is hit or miss from time to time. What's your take on the entire Chicago Cubs rotation as a whole?
Alzolay, I love him. Like, I think that dude is a star in the making. Just filthy stuff. Great makeup, again, on and off the field type of guy, easily rootable. Jake, everyone's remembering him from way back, and he still shows flashes of it. Like, he can be nasty, but I wouldn't consider him a top tier starter at this point. He'll kill me. Like, literally kill me. He's a big dude. But he can do it. Like, I mean, it's great to have a change of scenery. I mean, at his height, he was the nastiest. He was the nastiest pitcher in the major leagues. Like, that, for a period of time, I don't know that I've ever seen anybody as nasty. I go back and look at the no-hitter against the Dodgers he threw, and that may be the nastiest game ever pitched, other than the Kerry Wood game. Like, I was watching, I can see why nobody hit that, because he's throwing a wiffle ball. So, and occasionally it looks like that. So I think who knows? Maybe you can put it back together. Maybe there's a magic cue that he has, like, hey, let Jake be Jake, and maybe it comes back. I don't want to ever write him off because he's a competitor, but he's not the old Jake, because the old Jake was throwing 97. Yeah, and it's a little difference. And Davies is a fun pitcher to watch, like, basically a mini professor. He's good. Like, his changeup is a fun pitch, and I like the team. I like the White Sox pitching better in general, although, like, you have Kimbrel now who's back. Yeah. Like, holy crap. I mean, I can't help but put his stuff out there too, because like I love, as an Atlanta guy, I got to see him forever, like while he was here.
In
and
his
he,
heyday, especially.
and he is a legend, like a Hall of Famer embodied in. I mean, he is a living, breathing Hall of Fame closer that has absolutely elite stuff. And now you're seeing it, like his knuckle curve the other day. It's disgusting.
So nasty.
Yeah. And then his fastball's back, like his command is back, his confidence. Like I just think he had with his kid, there's some distraction. I mean, obviously life comes first. But he put his stuff together and like he's one of the must-watch guys in the game. So when you have that, they have young pitching in the bullpen, some guys that are fun to watch. Yeah, I mean, I think they can surprise you. Again, I would talk about, like, to me, the White Sox are there though. Like the White Sox are, right now, this is their time. Like I don't know that I can say that about the Cubs, but I think the White Sox are a blast.
Yeah, it's hard to think of a team, maybe LA, that has pitching that you would take over the White Sox.
Yeah, right. I think that's a good call. I don't know that they're, like, again, elite arms in the bullpen, elite starters. We didn't even talk about like Lance Lynn, who is like, so for years I kind of ignored him, and it's my fault. It's not his fault. Like I was like, all right, Lance Lynn, whatever. He throws fastballs. And then, and you watch him, not only does he throw fastballs that are like invisibles, but he also has his sinker is off the charts filthy, that I never gave him credit for it. Like, he's nasty. And when he pitches with emotion, like, to me, that's what this club is about. Like, you see him doing the Ric Flair woo after he has a big outing. Like, he is so much fun to watch on the mound. He's emotional. Another guy who's a team leader. So you have these guys that you have the Cody Hoyer, just deadpan spit take K strut that he does.
Yeah,
he's also nasty. Like,
out of nowhere. Yeah,
right. Like, last year I was watching him, and when I do my top pitches of the week or whatever, I featured him a few times. I'm like, dude, I don't know if everybody knows this guy, but yeah, he's lightning.
Not even here.
Yeah, like, holy crap.
When people think of White Sox relievers, they think of Kopech and Crochet, because they're the two future starters that throw 102. And then there's Liam Hendricks. And even when you brought up Lance Lynn, I think we were all kind of guilty of not giving Lance Lynn, like, you're the ultimate pitching guru online, but even us small guys who promote pitching, it's like, we traded Dane Dunning for this guy? Is that really a smart idea? And then you go back, he came in 6th for Cy Young. He's top 10 every year. Like, he throws gas. Yeah, he's awesome. And
you thought, like, again, I think I'm guilty of this. I thought it was a little bit of a fluke that he was in a Cy Young chase and stuff. I was totally wrong. Like, I did not give him the credit that man deserved. I put no respect on his name. Like, now I will not make that mistake again. And you'll see, I mean, shoot, I feature him kind of regularly now. And he's a guy that I have to watch, because number one, it's his stuff. But number two, I love the attitude on the bump. Like, give me pitchers who are competitors, who enjoy being out there, who, are either flashy or emotional. Liam Hendricks, one of those guys. Like, Liam Hendricks, you can hear him yesterday during his save, where he's screaming, he's yelling. I had interviewed him, and he's so much fun. Like, he's a Chicago guy from Australia. Like, he is that guy.
He screams at the top of his lungs after every pitch. It's a different kind of scream depending if the pitch was good or bad. If it's a bad pitch, he screams profanities out, and you can hear it on the TV. And Jay Spinetti and Steve Stone are just laughing.
Yeah, I mean, he is actually made for Chicago. Like, that guy is a perfect fit. I had interviewed him, and he talked about how he's a egotistical maniac on the mound. I think he said egotistical narcissist was the way he described it. Like, I want the ball. I'm going to shove it down your throat. If you miss it once, you're going to get it again. Here it is. Try to hit it. And how do you not like that as a fan of the game? Like, that is what baseball's about. I don't, and I'm going to segue into, the strikeouts versus home runs. Like, at the core, as fans watching a game, that's what I kind of want to watch. Like, give me the guy who's trying to shove it down someone's throat and the other guy who's trying to hit a bomb off him. And that's the sport for me. It's like a cage match at that point. Hendricks takes it like a cage match. He's going to get in your face, yell. If you beat him, that's life. He's going to try to beat you again. But isn't that the core of the sport? And isn't that what makes it great?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it reminds me, I mean, you talk about the pitchers who pitch with emotion, and instantly I think of Trevor Bauer. Like, when he strikes someone out, he comes up with a celebration. He's got a sword thing he's been doing. But I want to ask you about another guy who is you use the term must watch, and this guy's definitely becoming must watch, and it's Tyler Glasnow. I want to know if you think a Cy Young is in his future sooner rather than later, and what do you think about him this year?
Oh, heck yeah. So his big difference was adding that slider, or slutter as he calls it. Family friendly show. Hey, it's his name. Like, what else are you going to call a slider cutter mix? I mean, come on.
Yeah. Right when he said it, I was like, this is going to be hilarious.
Yeah. And then I'd talked to Zach Gallen. He's like, I call mine a slutter. No one made a big deal over that. It's because Tyler Glasnow, he's a walking, talking like Disney character. He's like Prince Charming, walking up, 6'8", like a cartoon character. Has a ridiculous curveball, an overpowering fastball, and then you add that slider cutter mix to give hitters another look. Now they can't really guess. Like, it reduces their ability to hit. And before if you can eliminate his curveball, you can go for it. Sit on his fastball, vice versa. Now it just gives one more weapon. And then he throws a change every once in a while that he still, it's but like, absolutely Cy Young caliber dude. And a funny, like, he's absolutely hilarious off the field. Listen to any of his interviews. He is you should just listen to his interviews regardless of how he pitches. He's honest. He's funny. He's one of those guys that should be the face of baseball. Unfortunately, though, every time I tweet him, everybody is like, oh my God, like, he's gorgeous. Like, dudes and women are same way. It's the like, people are like, I like baseball now. This is
yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, like, we have so much going for us in the game. And I love people that are positive about it. Like, instead of sitting there, back in my day, this was the way it was. Like, I love where the game is at. It is, the talent level is incredible. We have people like y'all, and like, all of us are part of making the sport fun. We shouldn't be downers about it. Like have fun with it. Like, the sport is freaking awesome. And give me those guys. Like we need to pump it up a little bit. Like, don't be telling people not to swing at 3-0 counts and stuff like that. I mean,
you don't got to tell us.
Yeah.
Whole segment about that later in the show.
Yeah. Like unwritten rules. I mean, they're unwritten rules. That means they change, right? Maybe it's the manager who is breaking the unwritten rule of having fun in baseball.
Yeah.
Maybe the unwritten rule is that. How about that?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We couldn't agree with you more. Now, it's funny. If I could have any player on this show, like any active player, it'd probably be Glasnow. He's my favorite player in the league.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, non-White Sox player, Tyler. If I could decide any player to come join the White Sox right now, it'd be Glasnow, just because I love him. I think he's so fun to watch. And it's not because he's hot, because he is, but I'm just talking pure stuff. He's awesome.
It's a little intimidating, though. So, yeah, like, I interviewed him, and I was like, you have to make sure your hair looks good. And no matter what you do, you might as well just go like this on your screen and just close it off and just
Yep. If you think you're the sexiest person in the room and then Glasnow walks in, you're automatically the second sexiest person in the room.
Absolutely. And let's face it, we are all, in any room, the sexiest people in the room.
Absolutely.
And it's just intimidating. He throws you off your game. Like, I interviewed him and I was just like, I'll just let you go, Tyler. You just riff with that.
They want to hear you.
And then you say he's funny on top of it. It seems like this guy's the full package.
Oh, he is freaking. He is very funny. He will. He'll drop the occasional F-bomb, or more than occasional, on the field. He has that whole Peaky Blinders, Cillian Murphy thing going. I tried to get, so I interviewed him. I tried to get him to say by order of the Peaky Blinders, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to do that." I'm like, "Come on, I set it up so well." He's like, "You're a fan of the show. You get this all the time. Like, give me one of them so I could play it during the entire season."
That's hilarious. And I love how when he swore while coming off the mound in his one bad start, his mom gave him like a slap on the wrist, like, "You can't be swearing, people can see you." And then the next game, he covers his face with his glove, and you could just tell he's mowing swear words into his glove.
Yeah, I mean, he's everybody. Like, he's all of us. Like, I do the same thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't, but yeah, he's also a really nice guy. Like, I think he is just a good, chill dude who on the mound, like, I mean, famously, he's got to get himself worked up to be angry at the hitter. He'll like read something that makes him angry because he pitches better angry. And like, otherwise it's hard to pitch as just a nice dude. Like, it's tough.
Absolutely. It's tough to be a competitor as a nice dude. You like you said about Giolito, nicest cat you could ever find off the field. But once he's on the field, he's looking mad. He kind of looks like, he's going to do something bad. And he's just a great pitcher when he gets in that mindset.
Yeah, I love that. Like, I love the fact that he flips that switch and looks like a serial killer or something out there. He gets his eyes going down. It's like he's just really pissed off. Yeah. And then you talk to him. Like, I talked to him and he's like sat on his cat. And he's got like these little kittens that are going on behind him. And he's like, "Oh, what is this?" And it's like a cat. And like, dude, you're like this killer on the bump, and you got these cats crawling on you. It's like the crazy cat pitcher.
That's hilarious. Now, we brought up Glasnow. I said he's my favorite player. I have lots of favorite players. Who's your favorite pitcher in all of baseball to watch?
Wow. Now you're putting me on the spot. Like,
I know. If you want to throw out 2 or 3 names, we don't mind at all.
Yeah, it's tough because like so Marcus Stroman and I go way back. Like, I love the energy he brings to baseball. He's just he's another good dude that should be a face of the game. As far as top tier pitchers, yeah, Jacob deGrom is like, if I don't say Jacob deGrom, then I shouldn't be doing this. Like, he is the best pitcher, among the best pitchers I have ever seen on the bump. Like command wise, stuff wise, intensity when he pitches. Like, I watched him, and when he gets 2 strikes on a hitter, there's nothing going to stand between him and striking that hitter out. So he is a lot of fun. And just like, he's in a whole tier by himself. Like, there is everybody else, and then there's Jacob deGrom. And I don't think anybody would argue that. Like, I think he is legitimately, there's a gulf between him and everybody else. Absolutely. The closest to him is somebody like Garrett Cole is a bully on the mound, and he's fun to watch. Scherzer is a psychopath still. And I love that part about him, and his stuff is still like, he's throwing 97, so he's he's legit,
and he's still got like an ERA slightly over 2, right? Like, he's pumping out good season after good season.
I think we forget this, like for whatever reason we had last year, and now it's like, well, Max Scherzer is no longer Max Scherzer, and I'm like, oh no, like, he is. If you said that to him, he might kill you too. Yeah. Like, that dude, he might just snap any point on the ball.
Yeah, and 2020 hurt pitchers, I think, more than hitters. For the most part. There are guys like Bieber and Bauer who had great seasons last year, but
I left out Bieber. Like Bieber is like watching art on the mound. Command wise, stuff wise. He gives you a little bit of everything. So he's got a little bit of the not showing emotion stuff, and then every once in a while he's the cockiest MFer on the mound. Like, he will turn around just turn around and like, everybody look at me type of thing. And it's just subtle, but he's a really, really chill dude. But he's one of those guys, the switch flips and will just out compete you, out stuff you, out command you, and like, I think some people thought last year was a fluke. It's not a fluke. Like, look how many Ks he racks up. That guy is, he's a craftsman. He's, got Kyle Hendricks like command with plus stuff. Like, if you're a baseball fan, it's a guy you want to watch. And Bauer, you mentioned before, like Bauer, you have to watch him, right? I mean, love him or hate him, you got to watch him.
An entertainer.
Yeah.
slowly becoming one of my favorites to watch.
And they all come from Cleveland, where it's like they got to be pitching ninjas' dream. Cleveland, that whole organization, because they just pump out pitcher after with Bauer and Clevenger and Bieber. There's this new McKenzie. He's off.
McKenzie, yep.
Yeah. So
and then you have like Class A, who's throwing 101 mile an hour cutters, and James Karinchak, who's just an absolute he's a mental case on like that guy is crazy.
In Chicago, he's our nightmare in Chicago. If he comes in with a lead, the game's over.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and again, I love, so we're just rattling off these characters in baseball. And I think my biggest thing is I think baseball has a marketing issue. They don't have a player issue. They don't even have a fan issue. It's about understanding, like, you can market strikeouts. You can market pitcher personality. You can market hitting home runs. They just choose not to sometimes or don't know how to. They need people like us to go out there and who enjoy the game, who don't we're not like, sitting there going, back in my day, we used to bunt with in this situation. I guess players nowadays stink, and just put the ball in play. Like, you try to put the ball in play. You try to put the ball in play against Aroldis Chapman throwing 103.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned the game is kind of changing, and back in my day, something we've kind of seen differently this year is the increase in no hitters. We've already seen 6 of them. What do you think of that? And what do you think the reason is? Are pitchers just getting that much better? And what's your take on the no-hitters this year?
I think it's a combination. I think pitchers are getting better and smarter. So the coaching has gotten better. It's things like I talked to Devin Williams, for example, who's another great guy to watch. And he said coming up, people told him that his changeup wasn't going to play because, it was too high a spin rate. Like, you want a low spin rate on stuff. Lucas Giolito, they would have changed his changeup to say, hey, you got to be low and away with this. Nobody throws a changeup up in the zone. Coaches are understanding that it takes different things to throw hitters off. It's the unicorn idea, where if hitters are used to seeing the average stuff, if you give them something that's not average, it plays. It just will. So you have pitchers that teams are collecting that have unicorn pitches. And then you have pitchers throwing harder than ever, being able to spin the ball better than ever because we can teach it. These are things that we can do with either extreme slow motion cameras. We have metrics that we can look at to see what's working and what's not. We can quickly fix things. So pitchers are just better. They're just better. And hitters are going to have to adjust. I don't want to change the game. I think it's about competition. As a competitor, as somebody who wants to win, you don't want to win because they handicap the person you're competing against. I don't want to fight. Well, I don't want to fight like, Mike Tyson I don't want to fight Mike Tyson with both hands tied behind his back, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's not a good analogy because you can handicap him. But most people, you want to, as the best in the world, you want to win against the best in the world. I mean, Max Scherzer once said he loves facing Freddie Freeman because Freddie Freeman is the best hitter that he faces, and it brings the best out of him. You don't want to do that as a hitter and say, move the mound back because I can't hit you.
Yeah,
that's a loser attitude.
Yeah,
get better, figure out how to win. So I think pitchers are better now, and hitters will adjust. Does it detract from the sport? I don't know. I just don't know. I love watching no hitters. I liked watching Corey Kluber throw one.
Me too.
Yeah. So I don't think it should happen every game. That would be
yeah. It adds to it for sure. Like you said, there are people who you're going to want to see the offense, but there's a big group of people who want to see that elite defense. So I mean, I think it adds to it instead of detracts from it.
There are things that kind of counter argument that there's too many no hitters thing. Turnbull's was the first in since 2011 for the Tigers, I think it was, or I think something like that. It was Verlander a long time ago, and then Kluber's was the first in Yankees history since 1999. That's a long time ago, and 6 of the no hitters this year have come against the same 3 teams. So maybe the Indians, Mariners, and Texas Rangers just have a hitting problem.
Amen. That is a great way to look at it. And look, do you think Yankees fans were excited about getting their first no hitter in 20 plus years? Absolutely. Do you think Corey Kluber was excited? Like Corey Kluber was excited. I mean, I saw him jump up and down.
He cried. Corey Kluber, one of the toughest, like in your face, like kind of like a Lance Lynn type guy. Like he's just mean and competitive. He's crying. Like, of course they're awesome.
Right. I mean, like, so as fans, I think that's great. And the other thing is, I think like we consider offense to be hitters. Like as a pitcher, this is one of the only sports where you're on offense basically. So I consider strikeouts part of offense because as a pitcher, I'm in control of everything. I'm shoving that ball down your throat or I'm doing whatever. You're the counterpuncher. I'm the one who's going out there after you. If you go out there and thinking you're on defense as a pitcher, you're a dead duck. You're on offense as a pitcher. So we don't have an offense problem. We might have a hitting problem, but there are things that can help fix that. We have technology that can help hitters. You have cameras all over the ballpark. You can pick up pitchers' tells. You might be able to pick up how they're tipping pitches or gripping things better and then practice it with virtual reality. Like hitters have to put in the work. Pitchers are putting in the work. Now it's up to you hitters. Like, get better.
What is Shohei Ohtani doing? I mean, this guy, they showed the graphic. The MLB's home run leader starting tonight with the same ERA as Max Scherzer. And then when the game's over, or when he's done, he goes and plays right field again because they forfeit the DH when he starts. Well, what's your take on this alien?
He's an alien. Like he's if people aren't watching him, then they're missing out on the best thing in sports. Like I've been following Shohei since he was in Japan. His mechanics are ridiculous. He moves incredibly well. I consider him like coming over. I thought he wasn't going to be able to hit and he was going to be able to pitch at an elite level. Like he is a number one starter if he just focused on starting. And I knew that when he came over, and that was the scouting reports on him, were that his splitter's unhittable and he throws 100 plus. So you give me two of those pitch, and then he's got like his slider is way underrated. So you have all this stuff put together in one dude. As a pitcher, he is a legit number one. As a hitter, he's leading the league in home runs and has made adjustments that I didn't think were possible for him because I don't think his swing doesn't jump out at me as one of those pretty swings, except for the fact he's just an athlete and a competitor, and he is able to adjust and hit balls that I didn't think he could hit. Like he is a freak. He's an alien. Everybody should watch this. You will not see it again in your lifetime, most likely, because he is just different. He's the best. Like I think he may be the best athlete in baseball. I think Mike Trout called him the best athlete in baseball.
Yeah,
so
I would say he is.
Yeah, like he's fast too.
Yeah. And it's crazy to like the White Sox they're a first place team and they have the highest lead of any first place team in the league. And they're only in the media for negative things like La Russa. But one of the other things was Ohtani. He became the first since Babe Ruth in the 20s or whatever it was to have a home run and a 100-plus pitch in the same inning. He had a bomb off Dylan Cease and then shoved against Adam Eaton. Like, this guy's unbelievable. He
is unbelievable. And like everybody should be a fan of him. Like you should watch every start, watch every at bat, watch everything he does, because it's like when Bo Jackson, back in the day with Bo Jackson, where you couldn't miss anything he did because he was a freak athlete. It's that type of thing that we're seeing. And I mean, people just need to pay attention to that dude. I mean, maybe it's because like the games are on so late sometimes, It would be useful if we can all watch him every time. But like I totally agree with you. That guy is must watch sports.
Yep. And he's on a last place team. He got roasted by Stephen A yesterday on First Take, and everyone was roasting First Take for Stephen A's take on it. But
yeah, I mean, I don't care what, you know what, they can turn it around too, actually. So who knows? Like maybe they do need some more pitching. I would think like that would be helpful. A little more depth there, but you know what? Who knows? They can turn it around. I would love to see how everybody would love to see Trout and Shohei in the playoffs. I mean, that should happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, last week on our show, me and Vinny talked about our favorite pitchers in the league, who aren't on our favorite teams, and he had mentioned Glasnow already. My answer was Shohei Ohtani.
I love it.
We need more of that.
So even back in like I think it's 2018, like I mean I did a highlight reel of Ohtani, and I don't like people are like, oh, he's not that. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like I watch a lot of pitching, and that dude is off the charts filthy. Like it's not because he's a hitter too. It's because as a pitcher, he is off the charts filthy. His splitter is something that people just don't see. Like they don't hit it. They don't do anything with it. Yeah, totally agree with you. Like I think he and his presence, you notice like he's got this quiet confidence about him out there, and it's really obvious watching him. So like he totally agree with you. Like he is among the best pitchers to watch.
Oh yeah. Joe, do you have anything left for Rob before we let him finally get out of here?
Yeah, I know. I can't thank him enough for coming on. This was awesome. You know your stuff. You're the pitching guru, as Vinny called you. So I couldn't agree more with that. So I just want to say thank you again for coming on and talking pitching and baseball with us.
Well, thanks for having me on. This has been a blast. And man, anytime you want to talk White Sox, like legit, they're one of my favorite teams to watch. So love to do it.
All right, maybe we'll reach out later in the season because this has been one of probably the highlights of anything I've ever done. I enjoyed the crap out of this. I love pitching. I'm a big fan of your Twitter account. I'm always using your videos and stuff for help on my articles and stuff too. So it's been great.
Well, thank you. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Everyone, that's Pitching Ninja, Rob Friedman. Make sure you check him out on Twitter at Pitching Ninja. And we would like to send you to a little commercial break.
Look, I don't mean any disrespect. He just didn't play that well, not for a guy of his caliber.
If they don't run the ball here, I'm going to vomit. I swear to God.
I don't really have any recollection of that at all, but I guess perhaps I blacked it all out.
You know, they won, but I'm going to be miserable all week because they stunk.
We'd now like to welcome and that, ladies and gentlemen, was the Pitching Ninja, Rob Friedman. Joseph, I just watched it and smiled the whole time.
Yeah, that was an incredible interview. Like, I mean, this guy, that was just so fun to watch. I think I had more fun watching it than watching, like, sitting there live in person, like, talking to him. Because, like, hearing him talk about pitching, it's music to any baseball fan's ears.
Oh, yeah. Like, when we were doing it, I was just so focused on the questions and, like, you know, how we make it sound good. So living it was different. Like watching it, like I was a fan. Like it was just so great. I cannot thank him enough for that. That's one of the highlights of my career doing baseball and sports media in general.
Absolutely. And he did mention that, you know, when we talked about Shohei Ohtani, like you might never see this again. So Shohei Ohtani, we need more pitchers who can hit the ball like him and play both. But will we see it? Who knows when the next time we'll see it. So enjoy Shohei Ohtani while you still can.
Before we talk about the White Sox and the Cubs, let's just talk about that. Let's call a little audible here. I want to talk about Ohtani.
All right. Yeah.
I mean, when you see that one of the best hitters in the league is on the bump, right? Like, What does that mean to you?
I think he described it perfectly. He might be one of the best athletes in sports. It's kind of like, and I don't know how this translation is going to, like how you're going to feel about this comparison. Imagine if you had like a goalie, a backup goalie, who when he's not playing, laced him up and went and scored goals. Think of it that way. Yeah, that's on a more of an extreme level because, like, you know, being a goalie is like almost a completely different like position, like athlete sport, you could say.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But think about it that way. It is incredible that there's a reason it's been like Babe Ruth, the last guy to do it. You think Babe Ruth, you don't even think like real person. You think fictional, like legend at this point. And there's a reason why that is, because what he does is so incredible to the game of baseball.
Yeah. You know, the closest thing I can think of is Taysom Hill on the New Orleans Saints. Like he can throw a football 50 yards, but he can also like be a fullback or a running back or even a tight end, I guess. So I mean, but that's like different because he's not elite at any one thing. He could just kind of do everything okay. You know what I'm saying? Like Shohei Ohtani's leading the league in home runs, and he throws 101.
Exactly. He is elite at both, top 10 in both batting and pitching.
And Rob brought up the playoffs and like how cool it would be to see the Angels make the playoffs. We've been saying that because of Trout for years. But like, imagine Game 1 of the World Series being started by Ohtani, and oh, by the way, he's batting fourth.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
and then like usually when you have a pitcher in the playoffs, they pitch, and then you might not see him for another 4 games. No, he's going to be back Game 2 batting, playing right field.
And no, he'll DH the next game. He'll go move to right field that game.
Yeah, okay.
It's honestly crazy. And you don't think there's ever going to be one again?
I think, I mean, I kind of think with the modern day, the way the game is and the social media and the accessibility everyone has to watching games, and your average baseball fan is going to hear about Shohei Ohtani.
Mm-hmm.
Your average, baseball fan back in the day, it's hard to hear about guys who, especially when they're playing like 1,000 miles away.
Yeah.
Maybe the future generation, like you got a good pitcher. Maybe there's going to be an uprising of young talent who are like, hey, just because I'm a good pitcher, I don't want to stop, batting and having fun crushing balls. So, maybe it's kind of like a revolutionary thing for the game. But yeah, I don't think for a while you'll see someone at least this successful at it.
Yeah, it might be a while before like they're top 5 in hitting and pitching, but like think about when you were younger and playing Little League. And this goes to the audience too. I'd love for people to chime in the comments and see if anybody agrees or disagrees. There was a good amount of times back in the day where the kid who was the best pitcher on the team could also hit the crap out of the ball. Now, me and you were the best hitters in the Little League. It was not even close. But other than us, who couldn't pitch for crap, I would say
all right. I closed.
If you were a pitcher, you were an athlete. And so, but I feel like by the time you get to be 13, 14, 15, they make you choose. But someone like Ohtani's on the TV now doing both, and it's like, mommy, daddy, I want to do both. So like, the pros make fans out of everyone.
Yeah. Santiago's comment here, he says, there have been players with great arms who maybe should have been given the chance to pitch. I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, having a great arm doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have the control and command that some of these pitchers have to just place the ball in a specific spot so accurately, with certain spins on it, and just it's a completely different game than just having a good arm. Yeah, there are outfielders who can probably throw the ball over 100 miles per hour. Would that make them a good pitcher? No, they probably would stink. But yeah. So, but back to Shohei Ohtani, not for a very long time.
Yeah. CrossTown CrossTalk is a Shohei Ohtani fan club in addition to a White Sox Cubs podcast, I would say.
Absolutely. And when Trout comes back healthy, I would love for the Angels, to turn it around. And even while he's gone, like maybe put something together for him to come back. And I'd love to see that team in the playoffs.
Yeah, they have good hitters, but let's give the people what they came here for now.
Absolutely.
Last week we let off with the Cubs. In the news this week has been the Chicago White Sox. They had a very good road trip since our last show. They only lost a couple times, twice to the Royals in a 4-game series and once to the Minnesota Twins. But in one of their wins, a little something happened where a guy named Yermin Mercedes hit a bomb off of a Twins position player. La Tortuga is his nickname. He made it 16-4 on a solo shot on a 3-0 count off a position player. And the Twins were upset. The Twins announcers were upset. So the next day, White Sox manager Tony La Russa thought it would be a good idea to come out and call Yermin Mercedes clueless and, say a bunch of negative things about the way he did it and claim that it will never happen again. I would like to hear your take on the situation.
Yeah, I think you can understand the Twins' frustration in this situation, but I think you should only be hearing it from the Twins to not back your player in that situation from Tony La Russa, whether he believes it's right or wrong, to go out and publicly do it is I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. It seems very, very, very old school, and that's kind of what you're getting with Tony La Russa. But old school in a modern day just isn't. It's not working. With the way social media is and the way the game is changing, as we talked about with Pitching Ninja. I see it completely okay with what Yermin did. It's not like he, gave a huge bat flip or anything. He's out there to play baseball. He's up to the plate. He's going to get a pitch. He's going to swing. That's what he does. He worked very hard to get into this lineup. Took him a big portion of his career to get into an MLB lineup, and here he is. He's been phenomenal. And now you have your head coach saying that he's clueless, and I just think it's wrong by Tony in so many ways. Even if he wants to stick with his old school mentality, keep it in the clubhouse. So you don't got to go out and publicly call out your player, because the other half, I would say the other 80% of your own organization is going to side with Yermin in this situation.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is what I'm about to say. If you're Tony La Russa and you're at the podium, right, and they ask you about that, and you feel however you feel, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. We're allowed to like it when guys hit bombs on 3-0 pitches and blowouts off position players. He's allowed not to like it. That's fine. But if you're Tony La Russa and someone asks you about that, yeah, me and Yermin handled it. We took it upon ourselves to handle it within the organization. Next question. That's it. That's all we ever need to hear. Not calling his own player clueless. Let me tell you something about Yermin Mercedes. He was drafted in the minor league Rule 5 draft. You know what type of players go in the minor league Rule 5 draft? Guys like Russell Wilson, who teams draft so they could bring him in to talk to the clubhouse during spring training. That's the type of place Yermin Mercedes was in 10 years ago. And then he had to play in a bunch of out-of-country leagues and work his butt off in the minor leagues just to even have a chance to sniff the White Sox AAA team, let alone the major league team. And then Eloy Jimenez got hurt because he tries to karate chop walls, and Yermin Mercedes got a chance as the designated hitter. Well, guess what? Yermin Mercedes knows that if he falls off, his ass is out of the lineup. So every little home run, every little hit towards his statistics really helps him, especially since he has arbitration coming up. And for Tony La Russa to come out after the game and say that he had no problem with the way the Twins handled it by throwing at him. You're okay, Tony, with guys throwing at your players? If you don't like it, that's one thing, but shut your mouth about that kind of stuff. It's a joke. And you have guys like Lucas Giolito saying that they love home runs, and Lance Lynn saying that, in a position player, all unwritten rules are off the table. And someone like Tim Anderson saying, keep swinging at 3-0, Big Daddy, or whatever it was he commented on his Instagram. That's a complete joke. The disconnect between the players and the manager is undeniable. They're in first place. They're going to keep winning because they're a freaking loaded roster. And you got even guys like Trevor Bauer. I have a quote from Trevor Bauer right here. We just talked about him with Pitching Ninja and how awesome he is for the game. This is Trevor Bauer. Dear hitters, if you hit a 3-0 homer off me, I will not consider it a crime. Dear people who are still mad about a hitter hitting, kindly get out of the game. Can't believe we're still talking about 3-0 swings. If you don't like it, managers or pitchers, just be better. And I could not echo those comments enough. This has become a joke. Tony's a joke, and he's lucky he inherited this Ferrari of a baseball team, and they're going to cruise to 90 wins even without Eloy and Luis Robert. And when those guys do come back, they are a serious World Series contender. They might not win it this year if those guys don't come back, but they'll be back eventually. You mark my words. And whether Tony's there or not, they'll win. But it's a disgrace what this has become with Yermin and Tony.
Absolutely. I mean, we're getting some comments in the chat here. Bearstown 19, Santiago. They know what they're hearing is 100% true, and they agree with it. I agree with it. That was a phenomenal rant. I agree with everything that they're saying. Another thing, and it just speaks to the Twins organization when they threw at him, which was clearly intentional. Anyone who thinks that wasn't intentional, there's those people who's like, oh, it wasn't intentional.
Tony didn't. Tony said he don't dispute umpires, even though he leads Major League Baseball in all-time ejections.
No, I'm saying we all knew the Twins pitcher threw at him intentionally.
Yeah.
That's common knowledge. To do that in a 4-2 game when this game isn't decided. You're literally like it just kind of speaks to the organization. Yeah, they ended up winning the game. It kind of threw everything like off. The whole tension and buildup in that game was completely changed after that moment. And then after the game, for your head coach to say, "Yeah, I don't blame them." Like that is like, whose team are you on, Tony?
He sounded like the Twins manager for
exactly.
before and after the game.
The Twins pitcher throwing at your guy who's given you more than you ever could have asked for. He's probably batting better right now than Eloy would have been up to this point.
No doubt about it. Maybe less home runs, but as far as pure hitter, yes. For now,
exactly.
Sustainable better than Eloy? No, but for now,
so to go to the media and shit on your guy that's giving you so much like that, like shame on him. I agree he should be fired. People saying also, I've seen a lot of takes, especially on your articles and stuff, because you've been very, explicit about how you feel about Tony, and I'll write to you because it's warranted. You think that I kind of lost my train of thought here. You would think that, an argument people have is that, look they're in first place. They wouldn't have all these wins without Tony. They would. You're right. He was gifted this Ferrari team. Any coach who's coaching the Chicago White Sox right now, they would probably still be where they're at. I don't give much credit to Tony La Russa for them being as successful as they are. If anything, he might have costed them a couple wins so far up to this point. So yeah, firing Tony, that's definitely something that would probably please most White Sox fans.
Could this player win an MVP? Yes or no? Tim Anderson.
Yes.
Yohan Moncada.
Yes.
Jose Abreu.
Has.
Luis Robert.
Yes.
Eloy Jimenez.
Yes.
Could the pitcher win a Cy Young? Lucas Giolito.
Yeah.
Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
He came in 5th last year. Yeah. Dallas Keuchel. He has one.
Yeah.
Michael Kopech.
I hope.
Derek Crochet.
Yeah.
If you know slightly above average about baseball, and I think managers somewhat impact the game. I think the top 5 managers are the top 5 managers, and then 2 through 25 are like pins and needles difference. And then they're the bottom managers. I don't see, like, it's not like football where like Bill Belichick or the coach Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, those guys impact the game like no other. But in baseball, if you're as loaded as the White Sox, like, I don't want to hear anything about the White Sox being in first place in regards to Tony. There's clear disconnect. If anything, they'd probably have a far and away better record than the Giants, who are the only team ahead of them in baseball right now. And as far as win percentage, they lead the American League. They'd probably lead it by more. Instead of a 3.5 game lead, it might be a 5 or 6 game lead right now if there was no Tony. It's a complete clown show what's going on right now. It was a bad hire, and there's it's beyond baseball.
Yeah, and credit to the rest of the guys that you just named who are in the same clubhouse as Yermin and pretty much said, like, screw you, Tony. We're going to back this guy. We agree with, and players around the MLB, especially like Trevor Bauer, one of the best pitchers in the game, to publicly back a guy like that. It speaks to the game of baseball and the direction that it's heading, and the take that old school unwritten rules needs to be demolished. Yeah, you got to respect the game, and there's instances where you do respect it. I don't think playing baseball is a disrespectful manner at all, regardless.
I have a couple questions for you. First of all, to make a point, Trevor Bauer did this thing during spring training where he covered his eye to it's a mechanic he likes to use to get his pitches on track during spring training. He would never do it during a real game, but it's something that helps him in spring training get his command and all that down. Because if you could do it with one eye, you could do it with 2, right? I think that's the logic behind it. Well, Fernando Tatis Jr. hit an absolute bomb off of him early in the season. And as he's running the bases, he's going like this at Trevor Bauer.
I remember this whole thing.
And Trevor ate it up. He loved it. So, he practices what he preaches. A lot of people hate Trevor Bauer. He practices what he preaches. Now, you brought up Yermin and how really he's helped this team in the absence of Eloy. And if that ball hit him in the foot and chipped a bone, out 6 weeks, then I think that's an injury that puts them under. Because if you're missing the guy who's helping directly replace Lou and Eloy, you're screwed. And Abreu's, where you hope he comes back for the weekend series against the Yankees. But without Yermin in the lineup doing what he's doing, I'm sorry. And for Tony not to respect and appreciate that is just a complete clown show.
I definitely think he's in the minority, though. So I think there's good things to come out of this.
Matter though. What difference does it make if he's in the minority if he's in charge?
How long is he going to stay in charge?
Well, that's to be seen.
Exactly.
If it were up to me, he would have been fired 3 days ago. You cannot let your coach run over your player like that with a bus against your the Twins. The Twins of all teams. It's not even like it's the Marlins or the Padres. It's the Twins who have been beating the White Sox into the ground for the last decade. Look at their record against the Twins since 2005.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of like tension with the Twins. Didn't we saw the benches clear earlier this year between the two teams, and you know I'm excited for the next time these teams play each other. It's June 1st.
June 1st?
No, June 1st is game 2. There's a double header on the 31st of May.
They play each other like a bunch in between that series and their final series mid-August, and then they're done. So they go the final month and a half of the season without playing the Twins. So, and I don't care what anyone says, they're not dead. I was listening to Jonathan Hood and David Kaplan in the morning. I'm a huge fan of their show. I'd like to have them on this show. They're talking about how the Twins are dead. I could not disagree more. If they went on a run, they get what's his name back? Buxton. They get him back. Donaldson gets hot. Cruz gets hot. This Arise kid is amazing. If they went on like a 10-game winning streak and got themselves right back in the division race, I would not even be close to shocked. But you know what? From now on, if you're Tony La Russa, we handled it in-house. End of story. Next question. Okay, Tony, how do you feel about the way Lucas reacted following the I said I'm not answering next question. Third person asks, get up and walk out. Do yourself a favor, Tony.
Yeah. I'm not going to I mean, you said that you don't think they're done. I'm not going to sit here and say I think they necessarily have a chance. I think Cleveland's better and the Sox are obviously better. You would kind of need a lot of things to happen for them to really – they're in a hole.
Sure, they're in a hole, but if they won 9 out of 10 against the Royals and the Tigers and the Orioles, would it shock you at all?
It wouldn't, but
the lineup that was expected to beat the White Sox in the division going in.
It wouldn't shock me, but how much effectiveness would it really have if the White Sox keep winning games, if the Indians keep, putting together a good string of games?
I'm not necessarily worried about the White Sox losing out on the division to the Twins right now, the way the White Sox are playing in the way, but for the Twins to make things difficult in June and July, or whenever you said the series was, those games losing to the Twins can still hurt you in the division, even though it's not the Twins catching you. It could help Cleveland catch them. You know, we got a good battle going on the TV right now between the Oakland A's and Houston. I almost called them the Houston Texans, the Houston Astros. Those two teams, one of them is going to win the division and the other is going to be a wild card team, more than likely. We could discuss that later too. Like, there are so many things that can happen if you're the White Sox losing games to the Twins. And have you ever heard of an 8-run ninth inning? Because I have.
Exactly. Don't take your foot off the gas. Trust me, I know. And I misspoke. It's not the end of May when that series starts. It's at the end of June. I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. So they played each other. How many times have they played each other this year so far? 8, 9. That means they'll have about 10 games in a span of a month and a half around the dog days of the season. And you brought up respecting the game. Is throwing a position player in a blowout who throws 47 miles per hour, is that respecting the game? Is throwing in the white flag in the 7th inning respecting the game, in your opinion?
Yeah. I've never really agreed with that because, like, what do you expect? You got a guy throwing, 50, 60 miles per hour. Sometimes it's in the 40s. Like, these are MLB hitters. What do you want them to do? Just, like, intentionally ground out, intentionally swing and miss? Like, no, you're gonna get up there and play baseball.
Absolutely. Now, how about throwing at your opponent? Is that respecting them?
No, not one bit.
So everybody's talking out of both sides of their mouth. I'm so tired of this. Just play the game. And you know what? I actually don't have a problem with position players pitching. Here's why. We talked about it with Pitching Ninja. There's an issue with marketing the game. Tony Rizzo throwing to Freddie Freeman was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. When Rizzo struck him out, what was Freddie trying to do there? he was trying to hit it to Pluto. Now, granted, it wasn't a 3-0 count, but he was trying to show up the Cubs and laugh with Rizzo and have a good time. But for some reason, it's not funny when your mean Mercedes does it. It's not all fun and games. At least Anthony Rizzo can smile about it. And, you know, when he struck Freddie Freeman out, it was hilarious because, like, yeah, a position player who can't pitch struck out the reigning NL MVP. But for some reason, the Twins had to be a bunch of babies. And, you know, it's so annoying. And the other reason is, so I brought up marketability. It makes it fun. Baseball's supposed to be fun. But I also am okay with preserving a bullpen. If the White Sox are getting blown out, like it happened when they were playing the Red Sox, and Lucas Giolito had that one bad inning of his season, and that's why his ERA is a little inflated right now. They were not beating the Red Sox that game. And Yermin, oddly enough, coincidentally pitched, and I can't remember who the other position player was that pitched. Anyway, it preserved Cody Hoyer, Michael Kopech, Matt Foster, Liam Hendricks. Those guys don't have to come in and waste their arms in games that they have no need to be pitching in at all. So I see both sides of it.
I'm pretty sure there's a position player going right now for the Orioles against the Rays.
See? Why not?
And Cincinnati is currently getting, pummeled by San Francisco. Wouldn't be surprised if you see it there. I'm not saying like I think it's bad, but like all I meant by that was, what do you expect when you have a position player coming in? They're not going to be able to throw with the command or speed or a breakability that, a pitcher can do. So the batter's naturally going to get up there and try to, play his game. So.
And when a position player comes in to pitch, don't you think the team putting in the position player probably just wants the game to be over, right?
Yeah, they go in there with the goal isn't for this guy to strike him out. That you're a position player. You're not going in there. You're what?
It's to end the game as quickly as possible.
Exactly. You want him to put the ball in play and just hopes he hits it to your defense.
So if your mean Mercedes flies out to center field, doesn't that technically do what Minnesota wants to happen? Exactly. Swinging at the pitch actually enhances the chance of the game ending quicker.
Yeah, if it was
it makes me so angry.
If it was 3-0, and we'll move on here after this. If it was 3-0, the count's 3-0, Yermin comes up to bat, position player, he cranks it, goes to the warning track, center fielder catches it. End of discussion. Tony doesn't say anything. No one says anything. He doesn't get thrown out. He still swung at the ball when it was 3-0. Oh, he did the same thing. It went 10 feet farther. Home run. Now he's a bad guy. Yeah.
It's a clown show. And Tony, if they win the World Series, he gets no credit from me. You won't see me give him none. Because anybody who watches baseball even slightly can put together a lineup of Lucas Giolito or Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, Eloy Jimenez, Luis Robert, Jose Abreu, Yasmani Grandal. You just keep naming them.
Yeah.
So, to somewhat finish up our talk on the White Sox, we'll let this Tony La Russa thing die for now. I'm sure something stupid will happen again later. Jose Abreu's not playing right now, but man, this guy. I mean, we talked about him a couple times. He is just an unbelievable player, MVP caliber. He got off to a slow start. On Friday, he had a bad collision with Royals Hunter Dozier. And he was in the concussion protocol. He was negative. He had a little bit of discomfort in his ankle. And this guy, he missed the second half of that game and the entire rest of the doubleheader, which the White Sox split with Kansas City 1-1. Then the following day, he comes back and is in the lineup. What does he do? Bomb. The next day, he scores the game-winning run by stealing home on a slightly passed ball. Jose Abreu is amazing, man. What do you got on him?
Yeah, there's no reason why you want him in your lineup. Like, I get if he's not 100% right now and it's due to that collision, I get why he's not in the lineup. You want him 100%. They were able to win 2 out of 3 against those Twins. And like I said, the one that they lost was the whole fluke. It was a mess of a game. But hopefully he's 100% healthy going into this Yankee series because you're going to need him. The Yankees are kind of hot right now. They just got off to, here's that collision right here. It's just completely incidental by both players, first off. Nothing you can really do there. but hope everyone's okay. And I don't know the status of the runner.
Dozier was actually placed on the 7-day IL after that happened.
Yeah, see, that's just unfortunate because it was so incidental from both players. But hopefully Jose is back for this Yankee series and then the St. Louis series after that. And hopefully he's just back to 100%. And if he is okay, he cleared negative for concussion, then it's just a matter of him being 100% because you need him in your lineup. He has just been that effective for them.
Absolutely. People got on Dozier. Like, don't you think if he wanted to take someone out, he would have taken out Grandal, the one who was going to catch it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean
I would have taken out if I was trying to take one of the two out.
That's why I made it clear. Like, you can just tell it's completely incidental. He was mad that he flied up right away and he put his head down and started running. Didn't expect Jose right there, and that's two big bodies. Like, I saw it live, and I was like,
they call him the bulldozer.
Yeah, you can hear it. You can really hear it.
I mean, people were saying, "Oh, you gotta keep your head up." Have you ever popped out? If you ever played baseball and you pop out, it sucks and you're mad, and that's just the way it is.
And it's not like it was a collision at first base. It was kind of early on in the run line. Not far away. Yeah. So
it was right after he looked around Grandal to avoid him, and there was a break. Boom.
Mm-hmm.
But to just come back, hit a bomb, score the game-winning run, he got a little bit of ankle inflammation on that play where he scored, and they played it safe against the Twins. They took 2 or 3. So, but I mean, it would be nice to have him back against the Yankees. I believe Cole's going Sunday, so it'd be nice to have Jose back in the lineup, ready to roll for the Yankees.
On Sunday, you said you think Cole's going?
Yeah. Do you got it?
Yeah, I'm seeing tail end.
Oh, so are they not pitching Cole at all, maybe? Or could it be Saturday?
It'll be him versus Keuchel on Sunday.
Cease, Rodon, Keuchel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, you got Garrett Cole on Saturday against Dylan. Okay. That'll be good.
Need a big game from Rodon because the White Sox have proven they could beat Cole. In Cole's best season, he lost to the White Sox in May. This is with the Astros in 2019. He lost to the White Sox in May and then went undefeated the regular season until playing the Nationals in the World Series and then lost. And his 2 losses were sandwiched all his wins, and the losses that completed the sandwich were the White Sox in May and the Nationals in the World Series. It was actually an incredible stat that for 3 months people were saying the White Sox are the last team to beat Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
So, all right,
I'm excited for the series. We all know I hate the Yankees. I mean, hate's a very strong word. I'm a Red Sox guy, so naturally I dislike the Yankees a lot. Right now they're up 2-0 in the top of the 8th against Texas. So, and they're playing good baseball. They're winning games. So, what do you got going?
No Stanton.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
Another reason you want Abreu healthy. You want as much weapons as you can, especially going up against Cole on Saturday.
Yeah.
Before we go to the Cubs here, I mean, you want to preview the weekend series, kind of like we did last week. I kind of like predicting the weekend record.
Yeah.
Because we did the show on Thursday. I mean, they're off today. So they start their series tomorrow against the Yankees. And I like doing just the weekend thing. We don't necessarily have to go into the St. Louis series.
Yeah, because it's hard to predict. And they're going to be 60% for fans who don't know. They'll be back to 60% capacity starting with that St. Louis series. And, we hope to see everyone at the ballpark. Me and Joey will be there a lot throughout the summer, especially after the Stanley Cup playoffs are over.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be there a whole lot. So we encourage fans to come up to us and say hello. We enjoy that kind of stuff. Both fully vaccinated, ready to roll. So I'm excited. I'm going to say 2-1 White Sox against the Yankees.
And I had a feeling we were both going to say that.
I'm not going to say which game. If they beat Cole, then I might flip Philadelphia and say.
Why aren't you going to say each game? We did that last week, and I was almost right. I said that Giolito was going to lose the first game of the doubleheader. Kopech was going to play that Friday night, and they would split that 1-1, and then they lost the Saturday game and won the Sunday one. I was so close to getting it perfect.
Yeah, you were. I'm going to go. Yeah, I'll go win. If Garrett Cole shuts them down.
That's so chalk. I agree.
Chalk, I mean. All right, pick the White Sox against Cole. Put your money on it.
There probably is going to be astronomical value there. I probably will put money on it.
Maybe I will too.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Yankees right now. And I got a runner first and second, 2 outs. So
I'm not scared of their offense. If Carlos Rodon, his worst game of the season was last week, and he gave up 4. Like, oh no, you gave up 4, you butthole. Like, everyone's going to give up 4 every now and then. So if they can figure out a way to muster up a couple runs, like if Yoan and Tim manage like a base hit, which is certainly possible off anyone, and then Abreu runs into one, boom, 3-0. Like, it's possible. So, and Madrigal's approach against every pitcher is flawless. So, and before we go, I brought this up to you yesterday. I want to point something out to White Sox fans. When you're watching your mean Mercedes pitch, or hit, I almost never think he'll hit a home run with 2 strikes. He has that leg kick that he does with less than 2 strikes, and you just know that the ball can go to Pluto. And, when he gets to 2 strikes, he shortens his swing, he chokes up on the bat, and doesn't do as much of a leg kick, and he just pokes it opposite field. It's so great to watch. So look for that against the Yankees.
Absolutely. I'm excited for this series, definitely. Another series I'm excited for. And yeah, we are predominantly White Sox fans, and there's no hiding that. But the Cubs, they've been kind of fun lately, especially against the Nationals. They won the first 2, and then they lost yesterday. But now they're currently up 5-2 right now as we speak. So anything on them?
Yeah, it was actually really cool for me because I would say my second favorite team in baseball is the Red Sox as well. And John Lester was a pretty big part of my teenage years. I would say I enjoyed, I just loved it when he was on the Red Sox, and he was on that great lineup, and they won a couple championships, and, the team was just fun. And when he came to the Cubs, I was like, all right, he's on the Cubs now. And seeing him return to Wrigley Field after the circumstances that he went through over the offseason, like he kind of it was the opposite of how it normally works. He kind of handed the Cubs a blank check and said, I'll play for however much you want to pay me. And they said no. And they brought in Trevor Williams instead and traded Darvish for Davies. And, it hasn't all looked smart, but, it was interesting to see John Lester return. And, as a Chicago guy, it was cool to see.
Yeah, I double that about him. His time with the Red Sox, especially, he was probably my favorite player in the 2013 run. Obviously, like young Mookie Betts was there, right? He was there. Mook? No, he wasn't. He wasn't. No, it was a young Xander over with.
Xander was on the 13 team.
Yeah.
The 07 team. Lester won it with them in 07 and 13.
Yeah, I'm talking about the 13 team.
13
that was probably my favorite,
Dustin Pedroia.
Yeah, Poppy against the Cardinals, and then that was unreal baseball. But John Lester was a part of that, along with David Ross. And those were both my guys. I love David Ross. I still like him. Anthony
Rizzo was technically, or he had just come out of the organization too.
Really?
Yeah. He was traded to the Padres.
Seeing John Lester come back, it was emotional. It was very cool to see. He gave this team everything he had, and it worked out. And then also Kyle Schwarber and the little antics with Chris Bryant and Kyle Schwarber. For those that don't know, Kyle Schwarber used to always receive candy bars from Chris Bryant. So Chris would always give him candy, and Schwarber goes out to right field, at the start of this game, and what's laying in right field on the grass? It's a few candy bars that Chris Bryant had left him. So seeing him pick those up with a smile on his face, put those in his pocket, it was just so cool to see. You see Bryant over in the dugout watching him, and it was just a very, very cool moment and a great way to have your players return to face your old team.
Absolutely. And one of those candy bars was a Twix, which I think both of us have Twix highly regarded candy bars.
Oh, it's elite.
Yeah, I would consider it an elite candy bar. We could go over candy bars next show. Kyle Schwarber ate it in the dugout. And what does he come and do? Hits a bomb next at bat.
Yeah. You just got to applaud that.
Absolutely.
Especially because the Cubs ended up winning the game. So it was like, no harm, no foul.
Yeah, absolutely. That it was no harm that Chris Bryant gave Schwarber fuel.
Exactly. You need your
yeah. Hey, a Twix would improve my chances of hitting a home run.
Absolutely.
So they've had a really nice run against the Tigers and the Nats. They're winning 5-2 in the bottom of the 6th right now, for those who aren't watching.
I almost got that series right, too, that weekend series. I said the Cubs would sweep the Tigers.
Halifax earning game on Saturday.
Yeah, the Tigers stink. And so, yeah, you could say you called the sweep against a team that, sucks.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have been so happy because, like, that Saturday game was so back and forth. I had the Cubs in that game. It didn't end up working out. Yeah, I do put my money where my mouth is a lot, believe it or not. So does it work out all the time? Most of the time, no. Right now, it has been. That game was so back and forth, too stressful. But, yeah, they take 2 out of 3 against Detroit, and now they're about to take 3 out of 4. Hopefully, if they hang on here, take 3 out of 4 against Washington, and then they're about to start with St. Louis over the weekend. So,
yeah, St. Louis has both Chicago teams, which might not be great news for them, because the Cubs have been playing really well lately. They're 21-21. They're about, if they hang on here, they'll be 22-21. They're a 500 baseball team. That's what they are. Could they get a second wild card team by being 5 or 6 games over? Maybe. I don't see it. But
I think they're slightly better than 500. I think they're slightly better than 500. Maybe just better, not even slightly, because their pitching's going to get better.
Yeah.
And Baez is starting to play some good ball. I mean, yeah, Chris Bryant's going to cool down. He's not going to maintain, what he's been doing, but he's going to stay good. And then pretty much you just need everyone to just be a little bit better. And I think they will get better. And as the team comes together, the new pitchers start falling into the system a little more. And I think the Cubs are definitely better than 500.
Yeah, I think they're better too. The Cardinals are a really good team. I don't know, and so are the Brew Crew. I don't know how it's going to work out in the division, if they make the playoffs or not, but I definitely think they're better than people give them credit for. They started off terrible, and they've been really they beat up on bad teams. This is kind of how the season's gone. They've beat up on bad teams and basically struggle a little bit with the good ones. The Nationals are not good. So we'll see how it goes for them as they start to play great teams. I kind of think you're underselling Bryant a little bit, though. I do. I think Bryant can absolutely keep this up.
You do?
I think he can be in the MVP conversation.
Is he still in the mid 3s? What's he batting?
I don't know. I don't have his exact numbers in front of me, but I know his numbers are in the MVP type level. And it's May. Like, we're not talking about winning the MVP right now. But, like, he's been very good lately. And something that's crazy about Chris Bryant, almost unlike anything I've ever seen, he's good at every position defensively. He plays third base, first base, center, left, right. And it's awesome to watch. It's like, if the Cubs aren't going to sign this guy, a team's going to pay a premium to bring him over. I know the White Sox would love to have him.
Yeah, definitely.
And you brought up Javi. You almost alluded to, because he got off to a brutal start. Like, every pitcher in the league had a better batting average combined than Javier Baez. But he's really, and you alluded to it when we were talking about how bad he was with Robert, and you're like, is he really that bad that he leads the team in RBIs? So he's producing runs at least, and his OPS is starting to climb, and the average is starting to climb. It's like Javier Baez isn't going to hit 190 forever.
Yeah, I gave him a little bump. That's what he needed.
He definitely watches. I hear from a good source that Baez is a big fan of the show.
I like him. Almago is my guy.
Yeah, Almago, he's one of the best shortstops in the game, too. I mean, Chicago is kind of lucky right now. Both teams have an elite shortstop, an elite third baseman, and an elite first baseman. I think the White Sox depth is far better, and their pitching is not even close.
And elite closers, given that Liam Hendricks, performed better.
Yeah, they're two of the best closers of the last 10 years.
Exactly. I would say two. When playing at their best, I would say they're two of the top 5 closers in the league.
No doubt about it. And, Kimbrel with Atlanta and Boston and the Cubs combined is like a Hall of Famer, like second, he's like slightly below Mo, I guess, in terms of all-time closers. Like, he's in that conversation. And if you don't believe me, look at his stats.
Well, yeah, when we were talking with Pitching Ninja about him, I didn't want to interrupt him, so I didn't have a good way to work in him, but I wanted to, tell him and let him know, like, yeah, I'm a Red Sox fan. So watching Craig Kimbrel in Boston, like, it was a treat every time. And he had a long, like, Billy Goat beard in Boston. He really doesn't have it much anymore. But, even like 6 years ago or 5 or 6 years ago when he would come in and we would always, like, mock him. But in a good way. Like, there's people who, like, kind of troll him when he's pitching, like when he comes in on the road.
Yeah.
But seeing it and seeing him now perform that way again in Chicago, it's awesome. I love Craig Kimbrell.
Absolutely. He's fun to watch, man. I think the Cubs can stay in it most of the year. We'll see what they do with the big three, and they're all on expiring contracts. They have a manager advantage over the White Sox. I'll say that. David Ross is, those guys like playing for him.
Exactly. And I'm sure David Ross, kind of has that new age, probably I would assume has that new age mentality. He's not going by the unwritten rules that Tony is.
No, absolutely not. David Ross is so sweet. I mean, a lot of the times you see those catchers come out and be managers someday. And that's why I'd like to see AJ get a crack. I know he's interested, so we'll see whatever happens with that. But this has been a great show.
Yeah. What before we change it up or conclude here, weekend series versus the Cardinals. What do you got?
3 games.
3-game series. You got Hendricks tomorrow.
Yeah.
Alzolay.
Alzolay.
I knew I was gonna mess that up. Could never get that right. On Saturday. And do you want to know the Cardinals pitchers too?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got Hendricks versus Martinez.
Okay.
Alzolay versus Mikolas.
Okay.
And then Zach Davies versus Wainwright. That should be a good one.
Yeah, I got Cubs 2-1. They win the first 2, and then the Cardinals smoke them on Sunday.
Okay, I have them 2-1 as well, but they're losing the Saturday game.
Okay.
Zach Davies gets a win. I think Kyle Hendricks wins tomorrow. He's gonna, answer off of his good start last game, and I think he's
starting in a row.
Yeah, and then Zach Davies, I think, has been on the incline, I would say. So I'm going tomorrow and Sunday wins, and then Saturday, which means I have them losing both Saturday games, the 2 Chicago teams. So
yeah, it's gonna be a tough day. Make sure you bet against Joey because we all hope he's wrong.
Yeah, I mean 2-1, we'll take it for both teams.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it, especially if you're the Cubs going against the first-place team in your division.
Exactly.
And for the White Sox, even though they're a significantly better team than the Yankees, they're still a measuring stick just because of the pedigree.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, they're a consistent contender to be in the ALCS every year. So, you got anything left on the Cubs and the White Sox before we close things out?
I love that we do this show on Thursdays because it kind of perfectly sets up for the weekend series. You got the first game tomorrow, Saturday, and then Sunday night baseball sometimes.
Yeah. I would say Thursday is the most common off day.
Yeah, I mean last week the Cubs were off.
And Monday.
Yeah, last week the Cubs were off, and this week the Sox are off, and the Cubs are playing right now. We both got that on, and they're winning. They were losing 2-0, and
yeah, right now Anthony Rizzo's up with 1 out and runners on first and second.
Yeah, they've scored a run in every inning since the first. So.
Yeah, make sure you tune in and watch the Cubs. And also make sure you tune in and watch me and Joey every Wednesday at 2 p.m. doing Bar Down Blackhawk Talk. We're going over the Stanley Cup playoffs. Things are getting real good now. So this is the part of the hockey season that everyone should be tuned in and ready, locked and loaded. Me and Joey have it all covered for you. And, this show on Thursdays every 2 o'clock, I'm going to start working on a guest for next week. So got some exciting times ahead for both of our shows. And then, of course, tonight you can catch Red Radio at 6 p.m. Central. It's great basketball talk, betting tips, and wellness advice here on the Barroom Network. You're not going to want to miss that. Make sure you tune in to all the shows on the Barroom Network. Buy our merch at springtees.com. You can find everything you'll ever need. There's, great T-shirts and sweatshirts and hats and even sweet mugs. Once the weather starts to get cold again, we don't want to think about that right now. But once it does, we'll be rocking our sweatshirts and drinking our coffee out of our mugs. So that'll be fun to see. Make sure you watch the White Sox and the Cubs this weekend so you know exactly where me and Joey are. Follow at Joey Parise on Twitter, at Vinnie Parise on Twitter. Is there anything else you'd like to get out there before we head out?
Yeah, you mentioned betting tips. So I think every Thursday, I want to leave you with a Thursday night lock of the day. All right. And tonight for me, that lock is going to be the Boston Red Sox versus the Toronto Blue Jays. For me, it's a no-brainer when you just look at the value. We got the Red Sox at plus 116 on my site right now. And I just see that there's no way the Red Sox don't come out and win this game. They lost the first one against Toronto. They won yesterday in decisive fashion against the Jays. And you got Nick Pivetta versus Steven Matz. And Pivetta is 5-0 to start the season, I believe. So I just think the Red Sox offense is going to keep it rolling. And, that's your Joey value lock of the day. We'll come up with a good name for that. So
great stuff. Can't wait to see how that works out for everyone who either trusts or fades Joey. I'm fading him personally because I think he stinks.
Yeah,
we'll see. This show was awesome, and honestly, thank you so much to Pitching Ninja to close things out. Like, that was just unbelievably awesome. It's one of the coolest things I've ever done in my career. Can't thank the Barroom Network enough for giving us this platform, and we can't wait to talk to you next week. For Joey, I'm Vinny. Enjoy your baseball.